Radio and TV personality Somizi Mhlongo is in hot water. Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula has opened a case after Mhlongo claimed that he told him about the lockdown extension before the president's announcement. Mhlongo made the blunder on a live Instagram feed and has since apologized. So the question is, I guess, what kind of trouble is Somizi in? Legal expert Marius du Toit unpacks this for us. Marius, let me start. That's the question, isn't it? What kind of trouble is he in? Because a criminal complaint has been laid against him by the minister.
Yeah, I think firstly we have to say that the minister is absolutely within his rights to lay a criminal complaint, because the Act is quite clear. The Act says that if a person goes and publishes any article in the social media that is false, then that person is liable to an offence. So if you unpack this article, it's clear that, number one, it's false, because, number one, the minister did not tell him. Of course, the repercussions of it is not so severe in the public domain, but of course it had repercussions for the minister itself, in that he could lose his position. We saw what happened to the other ministers when they, in fact, published or breached the regulations. So I think at the very least you have to say that there were repercussions, or there could be repercussions, and he did publish a statement, and the statement is definitely designed to be false.
The minister also goes on to say, I'm obligated by statutes, policies and regulations of Parliament and government. It's almost, he's like saying, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, though. I think that he definitely has a choice. It's clear that this was said in jest. It was not on the part of the person who published the article to try and destroy the minister or something to that effect. So the moment he came out and said, listen, it was a joke, I didn't mean it, I had no intention of harming the minister had a discretion. You always have a discretion to lay a criminal complaint, but I think he wants to make it clear that things like this won't be tolerated during the lockdown. And I think he's making a point more than anything else. Will the state actually proceed with prosecution? Well, that remains to be seen. I'm not sure if they would say, listen, this case is sufficiently serious that we're going to entertain it. But having said that, he's within his rights to lay a complaint.
This sets a precedence, doesn't it, when it comes to name dropping, because Somizi just did this on a live platform, which is incredibly unwise. But at the same time, there are many people that name drop.
Yeah, it is. I mean, once again, I think when it comes to defamation, we have to firstly say, if you publish anything and it's not the truth and it's designed to cause harm, you are definitely in for a slander civil suit against you, a defamation suit. So the reality is one should always be cautious when you do these things. If, however, you do it in jest and it's obviously a joke and it was said in an environment that it was meant as a joke, then you have to say to yourself, well, honestly, this is not so serious. I think what the Act is designed against is people running around publishing information about COVID that are clearly designed to be false. That, for argument's sake, says that China created a biological weapon and it was leaked out, and suddenly you have xenophobia against Chinese people. If you have things like that, it's clear that that's a false statement. It's a statement designed to cause harm, and under those circumstances, I would definitely say you should lay criminal charges. But in this instance, even though it does create a precedent, I definitely don't think that that one should run around just laying charges against any person for any nature of any offence. I mean, you always have a discretion.
Okay, layman's terms, the fact that Mbalula says he forgave Mhlongo and Mhlongo did apologize to him, does that make any difference whatsoever?
Well, you know, it's the same as I give you a slap through your face and I come afterwards to you and say, I'm so sorry I slapped you, I shouldn't have done it. The reality that I am apologizing, the fact that I am remorseful, of course counts for something. And of course it could result in the matter being resolved right then and there. And I think that's what the public would expect, to say, well, listen, Minister, he came out, he said it wasn't done. He says you never disclosed this information to him. So clearly there was no intention on his part to harm you. In the circumstances, perhaps you shouldn't proceed with this. But unfortunately, the reality of it is that the offence, if I can call it that, has still been perpetrated. The reality is that he has still gone about publishing a statement through the medium, in this instance social media, with the intention to deceive another person. And
Is this made worse because right now we're under the Disaster Management Act at the present moment? Does this make it worse for Somizi?
Yeah, I absolutely think that the reality is that during the lockdown period, government is doing everything in their power to make it clear that they will not tolerate any breaches of the Act. And I think they want to show that they will clamp down on anything that's a contravention thereof. And I think that's maybe the message that the minister is trying to portray here, by coming out clearly and strongly that he won't tolerate something like this and that government won't tolerate something like this. Is it the right message in this instance? I'm not sure. Personally, I would think the moment this person came out and said, well, listen, it was just a joke. If I was the minister, I wouldn't have bothered with a criminal charge. I mean, his position as a minister is clearly protected. The moment this person comes out and says, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it, then it would have been clear to the president that, listen, my minister has not breached protocol. And I think he would be exonerated in those circumstances. But,
right.
I mean, obviously he feels differently.
All right, thank you so much. Interesting view there from our legal expert, Marius du Toit. We're talking about